Hey everyone, how are you doing tonight? Thank you for joining us for another event spotlight. Today I have Basic Nerf with me and we're going to talk about Armageddon. So thank you for joining me. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Jangular. It's an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. I've been out of the hobby for 7 years, but I'm coming back. But when I was making stuff, Jangular's Nerf War video was something that I definitely enjoyed watching back in the day. I still do. I'll go back and rewatch stuff.
Thank you. God, it's been 7 years. That's insane
Yeah,
to think
it's
about. It doesn't feel like 7 years, but time is weird that way. And it's funny you say that. I enjoyed your videos getting into the hobby when I did, and kind of used those to kind of be like, oh, this is what things can be like. And so it's funny how that circle kind of goes around and continues that way. And people motivate other people, and it just keeps growing. And that's how we get to where we want to be eventually. So, uh, with that said, and the topic of growing things and moving things forward, you are picking up the reins of Armageddon, which is a
yes.
big historical event. But before we get too deep into it, I want to just have you talk about kind of the basics of the event, what people can expect at it.
The basic things of the
Yes, the
event is what
basic nerf of the event.
well, Armageddon, I guess gameplay wise, it is a higher FPS. Uh, Historically, it's been a higher FPS limit event where people would kind of come from all over the country and the area to come together and play, and people would, always kind of tune their blasters to make them fire faster and farther back in the day, and it happens once a year during the summertime. And while it is an event, where people again try to like kind of maximize the performance of their blasters a bit. Um, it's also like a very open and welcoming environment too. So it's been going since 1999, and when I attended in 2015, 2014, 15, and watched in 2016, I just see very people that are very open and friendly to one another. They're like, "Oh, you have that blaster? Like I've never seen that. Like, could I check it out? Could I fire it?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure. Like, go for it." And they're talking like mod information, with one another and theories and like, how do you do this and how do you do that? And people are just, from what I've seen in the 3 times I've been there, they're very open, welcoming, kind, and friendly to one another. So again, it's not just like, and it's not the most competitive thing. Again, people can kind of play it competitively a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's ultimately like, you give each other fist bumps, you laugh at each other, you try to do some silly things, all while kind of playing with high performance blasters in kind of these unique environments.
That's kind of the core of the hobby in a lot of ways, or at least how it began and how we try to continue on with getting new people into it. And that kind of friendly nature that you brought up is something
Mm-hmm.
I can remember from my first game going. Not knowing anybody, but the organizers went out of their way to be super nice and talkative, and include me in not just the games, but the socializing as well. And that's something that, I have to wonder uh, if that's a big part of Armageddon as well, kind of that bringing people together element.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. We have people, like I said earlier, kind of coming from different areas of the country and sometimes the world to play in this. But also, it's definitely an event where, at least when I host events, I'm gonna make a conscious effort to kind of get people talking together. Um, and we have some featured guests. I'm gonna encourage them, to be friendly and open to our attending players. There's one more thing. Also, the nature of the games. It's you play with people you never met before and play with people from different backgrounds and areas, and so I think we have like 7 or 8 games planned, and most of those are going to be like randomly selected. So we're going to be probably picking them out with like card colors, red versus black,
Nice.
um, and kind of having people play with each other and strangers. I felt, especially with humans versus zombies, as that's gotten bigger the past couple of years. Yeah, you just make these relationships with people, and so I feel like if you have people that are all good sportsmen, and you have these fun games, but yeah, it'll people just naturally come together even if they haven't met each other before, and again. They start to build relationships. They start building little bridges to one another. That's partly why I like Nerf as a whole. And I'm going to be looking to emphasize that togetherness in this event as well.
That's awesome. I was just notified by chat I didn't change your name on the screen. So
Oh
that's a
yeah.
big loss, a big fail on my part.
Oopsie.
My
I forgot about that
apologies.
too.
Yep, failed the pre-stream check on that one. This is clearly basic Nerf, not Zelkos. I cannot change that right now unless I do some swift editing in Photoshop midstream, which maybe I can pull it off. But while I maybe get that sorted, I do kind of want to mention the fact that this is as well uh, used to be the biggest West Coast Nerf event for quite a while,
Hmm.
and that's kind of one of the cool things about you continuing on with this event is there's a lot of history to it, and there's a lot of elements that I think you won't see at other games, but how much of that history going on back to, you said 1999 for the beginning of
Yeah.
this. That's a different millennia of gameplay. How much of that do you know about, or have you participated in, or learned about from going for a few years?
Yeah, it's 1999, like you said. Time just flies sometimes, especially with this pandemic. 1999 is, I guess, it's not 30 years ago, but it's 3 decades ago, right?
Yeah.
Because we're in this decade, and then there was it 4 decades ago.
Oh
Sheesh,
God.
2010s, 20. Yes,
20s.
it's 3 decades.
Oh, that's crazy how
Uh,
long it's been going.
yeah, yeah. So history-wise of the event, so how it started, basically, and a lot of this is especially the early history has been passed down through like oral and word of mouth because the internet was in its infancy in like 1999.
Yeah.
But basically, there was a nerfer. His name online went by Spoon, and he invited some friends from New Jersey to come over, and they're coming over in the summer. And he said, "Oh, since you're coming over, like, why don't we play Nerf together?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And so on top of that, they they're like, "Oh, why don't we kind of make it use the internet and make this kind of like this big event?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we should do that." And so they jokingly named the four friends coming from New Jersey. They called themselves the Four Horsemen, I guess, of the apocalypse, quote unquote.
I have heard that. Over the years I've heard about the Four Horsemen, and I've never actually known the history of it. So that's actually really cool and interesting to learn that that's where that came from.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's overly dramatic, but like Nerf the hobby in itself, it's a silly thing.
Yeah.
Um, but they invited him, and I guess the first event was in Irvine in California and drew about 60 to 70 people. Um, the organizer at the time, his name is Ryan Witherspoon, and now he's like older, and he's like a psychologist, I believe actually. Oh no, sorry, psychotherapist. So
Okay.
he calls himself Doctor Spoon online. He'll try to attend events once in a while. I still have to invite him to this to see if he wants to go because this is also like a new venue,
Yeah.
to kind of go back to the history of the event. It was a lot of like because back then I think it says from what I've heard like Spoon was like 16, and him and his friends were like teens, and so the event was very like guerrilla, pop up, flash mob type thing. You talk online, you go somewhere, usually an open public school that was open during the summer. You go and you play, and of course you treat the venue with respect. You clean up, you have fun, and yeah, then you kind of prep for next year. Um, what you call, yeah. So because of that, though, it was kind of shaky sometimes in terms of like having a concrete area because sometimes they get kicked out by like custodians or they would get like police calls here and there. I know even the last one in like 2019, that school they were playing on the 20th anniversary. They were playing and they got kicked out, so they moved to like the park next to it. But sometimes playing in the park isn't quite as fun playing in like a slightly urban school
Yeah.
environment.
You got to be
Um,
adaptable. That's one of the big parts of this hobby.
that's true. That is so true. But because of that, though, it's like what you call it? What was I going to say? Yeah, gorilla playing, and being able to be adaptable. Um, oh, I guess so. That's kind of like why the event has it's been I was going to say having the event like being held at certain places through the years. I know there was a Nerf. So we called for a while down here in Southern California. There was a Nerf group. They called themselves Scoon, which acronym. I guess Nerf Internet people back then they loved acronyms, but it stands for Southern California United Nerf, and that group had a, and it was open to anyone. There's not like it's a membership fee or anything, just like a very loose name to kind of describe people in the area. But they even had like a one of the members had a brother in the police force in the area in the city where they played in, which kind of settled into Glendora, California. And the brother would like kind of, I guess, speak up for them, kind of like say good things about them, and like, oh, that's my brother in his group playing, like, they're not dangerous at all. So, if we get a
That's
call, like, don't really sweat it. So he would, speak up for them. And I know even the custodians of some of the schools, because they rotated between two schools in Glendora. One of the school members, his name's Nate Baghead. Baghead is an online name, but he would like build a small relationship, with the custodians too, just talking with them every once in a while, and doing those things kind of helped them keep playing in the area relatively for the most part, like uninterrupted. But then like the brother and the police officer brother, they moved out unfortunately, and with the pandemic, like those schools are no longer open anymore during the summer. So and then also the organizers, as they got older now, they're kind of stepped out of the hobby. So I saw an opportunity to bring it back. Sorry, that was kind of a lot. Let me know if you wanna. Yeah, when did you get into the hobby? Okay. Hey, congratulations. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's kind of insane now. Yeah, you're right. I think End Strike, from what I remember, it's came out. The Long Shot was the first block. It came out 04, 05. That's even crazy now. Just like the Nexus Pro, you can still use that mag, that crazy backwards compatibility. But yeah, it started before End Strike. I'm looking at chat too for Chemicus Productions. Yeah, the event started in 1999. Was the first year. And like Jangular said, people would build blasters with like PVC pipe and springs from like hardware stores, and they would build their own darts, out of foam. And we're not going to allow this now, but back then, like metal washers or like domes made with like hot glue, so they were harder and hurt more potentially.
yeah.
Um,
Real quick, my
yeah.
mic did mute for a minute there when I was talking, so I
Oh,
just want to quickly mention what I was saying briefly before I fixed it. Was just that this event was pre-N strike, to answer the question, and the early days of homemade DIY style Nerf that really brought the hobby to where it is, because we don't have high powered, or we didn't have higher powered blasters on the shelves like we do now 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Um, so yeah, I think it's fantastic that we have this kind of foundation that we can continue on, keep this historical event moving forward. And going back a little bit further to
hmm
when you were talking about kind of the origin of this, you had mentioned that it was some friends kind of traveling in for an event, and they named it Armageddon, all of that.
yeah.
I don't know, maybe you do. Was this kind of in response to the East Coast major event that was held for a long time? I can't remember. I don't know which one started first.
Apocalypse.
Yeah, because I know that's like the big East Coast old school event.
That is a good question. I don't know which one started first, actually, to be honest. I see someone in chat saying, Spoon's GeoCities webpage was their first Nerf Aaron experience. Oh, it's from Blaster Show. Um, so maybe he knows. I could probably they're probably around the same time. From what I can kind of tell, like Armageddon seems to be first by a couple years. Again, if anybody can confirm or deny that, but um, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, to be honest. I just want to what it was first, and I just want to continue this great thing, and like you said, build on the history that has been coming in the past, or building history in the past, but also, let's build new history and new memories together with these new people in the hobby.
Yeah, which I think that's fantastic. I know for me, and obviously I can't speak for other people, but this is one perspective of someone who came into the hobby kind of during the transitional period between a lot of homemade blasters and
Hmm.
the now, I don't want to say kit style because kits aren't as big of a thing now as they were in the past, but a lot more kind of
Mm.
flywheels, or I'm going to buy a spring and a plunger tube and kind of upgrade my stuff myself. Whereas, it's, I'm going to build a whole blaster. I'm going to, build a plus bow. Um,
Yeah.
but I still have a slight bit of nostalgia for things like a Doomsayer. Um,
Oh, yeah.
like I came right in as things were shifting and phasing out. And so I love the idea of these events that while you're getting new, fresh players, you're still kind of paying homage to where we came from and having an event
Hmm.
where those old style blasters can still have a place. You can still use them, have fun with them, and bring them out to kind of showcase and, maybe relive some memories that you wouldn't otherwise get to.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's those kits, especially by like Orange Modworks and Worker, were definitely like a great transition to make the ease of modding and performance like open to so many more people, for a bit of a price. Um, yeah, like you said, everything evolves, everything changes. I think the hobby's in a good place right now, and I think it's only going to get better. Um, so yeah, again, and like you said, I've seen some people. I'm sure you can probably even bring some of that stuff, those homemades, uh, and if the ammo was allowed, which unfortunately we're not allowing it, the slugs, but they probably still honestly do decent, like not too bad. But
I'm
it just like technology, it's small increments. It's a little better, and next thing you know, it's like it's sudden. You look back 5 years and the improvements are so big.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's crazy how I think about my first game. I brought some barricades and
I remember
like
those.
some stock barricades, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna light some people up with these. I'm gonna get all the tags, and obviously that was not the case. But like the hotness at the time, I remember Sean and Josh from Barry and Nerf.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I wish they were still in the hobby. But
Uh,
they had like a modded Stampede, and I thought that was the most crazy thing. And
yeah.
now like you look at it, that's kind of tame. Obviously, the Stampede's a bit of a beast, and we are entering into the AEB phase of the hobby where companies are starting to build similar things. But uh, the technology has increased in a way that is wildly impressive.
Yeah, the Sweetheart Storm now is like,
Yeah,
oh, that's my dream blaster, honestly. But that's the Stampede on steroids, and yeah, again, it's crazy what people are kind of building up from the foundation of the hobby, back in the day.
absolutely.
Bots and Blasters says in chat that you can always bring the old school slugs and stuff like a mini museum and have a vintage firing range. But yeah, if people want to bring their old stuff, just not for game use if it's not approved, then feel free to. Oh, Jangular, they're saying they can't hear you in chat. But yeah, you can
Still
feel free to fire at our little firing range if you guys want. Just not in games if it's not approved.
interesting.
I think I heard. There you go.
I
I hear you.
should be coming through still on my end. Maybe hopefully they're just a little behind, but
King of Games says you're good. Yeah, maybe
okay.
just refresh the
Okay,
screen
we're
if anything for the viewers.
yeah, it's always worth mentioning just in case because clearly things can happen as happened earlier. Uh, but also Blaster Show has mentioned that he's not sure which one came first, but they were pretty close in time. So maybe they were kind of put together in tandem. They won some big events on both coasts, and they went
Hmm.
for it.
I'm
Um,
glad they have theirs. Have you seen the video, APOC 2021 music video recap?
I want to say yes, but
Okay. That video is like, oh, it looks like so much fun to play there because now that event is like instead of like the wilderness, it's in like a paintball arena that's also slightly in the wilderness.
Oh
But
yes, yes.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
cool. The venue change, obviously, APOC shifting to new organizers as well, and
yeah.
they've moved to a new venue, so it's not unheard of for what you're doing to kind of keep a tradition going, but shift and change a little bit to accommodate the change in the hobby and the player base. So that's
Yeah, I was thinking I was gonna say really quick that yeah, with that venue change, yeah, it's like it's I won't say miles better, but it's definitely like it looks like an improvement to me. They've helped grow the amount of players, the game modes, and yeah, that music video looks so fun. I wish I could like time travel. Or I wish I could travel there and like play with them because
yeah,
hats off to United Nerf Ops for running that.
yeah they
Oh, someone. Go ahead.
they do some fantastic video work. Go ahead,
Someone
you
says in chat, I got excited. Lego Boy 0109 says I'm going to both get it and I epoch this year. Oh, thank you so much for coming out, dude. I know the event usually gets like announced in like January. But I got back into the hobby like early March and I kind of started planning for Armageddon maybe like a month later in like mid-April. Lego Boy, are you J Lego with the kind of half arm? Is that you? Hopefully he gets that question. But there's a Nerf for I don't know if it's Lego Boy. You'll see him in photos and video. He's in that music video recap I mentioned, but his name's I believe J Lego Online, and I think he was born with a birth deformity, unfortunately. So his right or in his left arm, it's like cut off on the elbow down, and so there's nothing below. But he plays hard. He plays good. Like and he's like there with like the rainbow bows and the pump snaps. I saw him play in APOC. Okay, he's in Utah. Ah, okay. But yeah, hats off to him. Again, just the hobby. Even I've seen people mod like a guy in a wheelchair, but they gave him maybe like a Perseus or something. And so again, the hobby has managed to accommodate like lots of
yeah.
people, and that's partly why I love it too. Different people, different backgrounds, and you'd be able to play with.
Absolutely. A super welcoming community. And again, it goes back to adaptation for a lot of things, which is fantastic about our hobby. But you mentioned something that's actually something I wanted to talk about. And that's the
Mhm.
fact that you just came back into the
Yeah,
hobby. Um, you were
yeah.
gone for 7 years, like you mentioned, which, I'm super glad to have you back. You're kind of
Thank you.
an old school mainstay of YouTube creators. So I was hyped along with Brett. We were, I believe, in a call when we were hanging out playing games and saw you like posted something and
Oh,
it was like, oh no way, okay, hype. And so it was cool. And then seeing you kind of come back and be like, I'm going to take things slow and kind of dip my toes in and see how it goes. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm going to bring back Armageddon. And so kind of talk me through what caused that quick shift.
yeah. I'm laughing because yeah, like you said, it's such a quick shift. But as cliche as it sounds, I had a dream. I want to say maybe mid-February this year. I was just preparing for a Nerf war in my church. And I was like, all right, like, yeah, you guys go here and like load up and we'll do a countdown. And like right before the countdown ended, I woke up and I was like, oh man, like I would have liked to have played that Nerf board in my dream. So I was like, okay, like well, I guess I'll look into the hobby a bit more now. So I was like, what's kind of popular now? I was like, oh, this Nexus Pro, it's almost like a meme. I see it so much. So I bought a cheap one off Opera, and then I bought a used one too for like a lower than retail price. But I remember the guy there showing me a couple of the blasters, like some crazy flywheel thing. But then I went to my church, my good old playing grounds of my church, and I played with a couple of friends. I know one of them is my best friend. He joined, we got into the hobby the same time I did a little bit, but he never got into the internet side of the hobby. But, we found the first blaster that we played with together. I got him, I got my cousin, I got one of my old Nerf buddies, Chris Cartea, who former developer at Jet Blasters. He's going to be there playing as well as a safety moderator and playing in Armageddon. I got him. I got a couple other like friends. We played like 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 games, and afterwards we were all like, "Yeah, this is fun. Like, why did we leave now?" And I was like, "The performance on this stuff is like kind of nutty. You can just get it off the shelf."
It's insane for sure.
Yeah. So after that, I went to a local club called the LUNC Lazy Uncle's Nerf Club. They're out in I want to say like a county over from us, like 45 minutes to an hour drive. I was like, oh, let's see how that goes. And I played a bit. It was a lot of people. It was a lot of fun. But I also met Beret there. And I was like, oh, hey, I watched kind of your stuff, trying to catch up. Like, you make funny stuff. And he was excited to see me too. Um, so I told him a couple times before too, like, I'm glad there's someone that we have that's so silly and fun that's kind of like a bigger name in the hobby. But yes, Riverside County. But that was like let me dip my feet into the internet waters of the hobby. Let's see how it's going. And yeah, both those opportunities were fun. Had a lot of fun. I was like, all right, let's kind of get back into this hobby a little bit. And then to kind of touch on Armageddon, I was like, hey, I remember Armageddon being a crazy kind of fun event with a lot of people. Like I asked the Schoon group I mentioned, the Southern California United group earlier, and I asked Chris Carte. I was like, hey, have you heard anything about Armageddon? Is anyone running it? They're like, no, we haven't heard anything. Like the organizers kind of stepped out of the hobby. I talked to them though, and I was like, hey, is it cool if I take the reins of this? And they're like, yeah, sure, like go for it. And I was like, okay, cool, thank you for your blessings. One of them, his name is Zeke, aka Ice9. But got their blessings. And so I was like, I looked around, I was like, okay, I know their old schools are closed now. I need to find a new school. Then I was like, okay, where can what schools do I know? And I was like, why not my old K-8 private school? They're really small. They were when I was going there, like from I don't know, late 90s to 2006, the peak amount of students from K-8 was about 105. And now it's down to like 20 to 30 students, and there's like 3 teachers, and they teach like 2 grades each, something like that. So I was like, why don't I kind of have an opportunity to give back? Just charge only take $10 a ticket. People can come and play there. So I went to the spring festival. I want to say last day of April, and I talked to the principal there in person. He was like surprisingly more open to the idea than I thought he'd be. And I gave him like this 8-page document I typed out of like what the event is to people, safety precautions, maybe some commonly asked questions. And about like half a month later, it got approved, I want to say. And so I used my small associate's degrees in business marketing and management to market the event. And here we are now. And I'll say lastly for the question that I brought it back because I feel like the hobby and the event in general, the hobby is about meeting people, playing together in fun locations, kind of pushing your blasters a bit, getting to know people of different origins and backgrounds. And it's that event that kind of feel like encapsulates a lot of the hobby, and it's something that I feel like has a lot of benefits, and so I want to bring it back.
And that's awesome. I think this is something as well that people can learn from in terms of communicating with the venue if possible. If you can get them behind you, it really is amazing, because you can get access to more things, and you're not going to get kicked out, which is a big plus. Yeah. Because it happens. It happens to a lot of different groups. You just all of a sudden you have to vacate, and your event is, not necessarily ruined, but it's not as full as it was, because you have to burn time going somewhere else and find another place. And so working with the venue when you're able to, massive props, massive plus for that. And also big respect on going to the originators of Armageddon and getting their blessing for continuing on the event. And that is something that I think is super important, and kind of just a good thing for the event itself, that it's continuing under the banner of the event, true to the event, with the blessings of the people who started it.
Yeah. Can I just add 2 things real quick? I just want to say that definitely on the lucky side, they could have easily been a no. So thank the Lord and thank the principal for being open to that, and the school board. And secondly is that I forgot the other thing I was going to say. After 20 years of the event kind of being played and switched between 2 locations, I think after 20 years, it's also a good opportunity to kind of switch up, where you play, keep the event fresh.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. It'll be interesting to see how the play is affected by a new location. People won't know all of the spots or the lines, kind of where you can hit people and where to wait for people and all that kind of stuff. So it should be a lot of fun. Honestly, I'm really hoping people take plenty of video when they're there, so we can see, some stuff get posted. I always enjoy that type of thing. But there is a great question that actually is kind of in line with something I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about this as well, and
Okay.
that's is Armageddon a long running game that goes all day, or is it many smaller games and game types?
Yeah. So we have about 8 game types planned. They're definitely going to be smaller games. Because it is summertime. We don't want people to overheat and pass out from heat exhaustion and things like that. So we'll play smaller games. They're each going to be about 20 to 25 minutes each. With breaks in between. And some of them are going to be more simple. Just we'll play clickers, tag out like as many other people as you can. Some are going to be kind of more maybe silly. Some of them are going to have 2 teams. Some of them will have 3 teams playing at once. So a lot of opportunities there for different game types and different we have our game mechanics are a little bit different as well. Uh, so if you want to again go deeper into that, like we can. But yeah, different game types spread out throughout the day is the short answer.
Awesome, awesome. Glad we get that answered. I've got to call someone out here really quick and throw them under the
Okay, yeah.
bus.
Uh
Uh,
oh.
this King of Games says episode 3 of their Nerf vlog is going to be on this, which is fantastic. Looking forward to it. I'm still waiting for episode 1. When are you gonna when are you gonna hook us up with that? I'm waiting here. I'm gonna call you out. So, but it's great to see that people will be recording that are going to be there. I am so looking forward to watching everyone's footage from it. Um,
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say shout out to King of Games because he's the captain of Team Nebula, who I'm sure placed third place in the Dart Zone 2022 tournament.
yes,
So thank you for being here, man. But I'm sure he's got a lot of stuff in his plate as being a co-captain of the team. So
that's fair. That's fair.
I'm looking forward to it too, though.
We'll give him a little bit of leeway then. Comes out
Yes.
Thursday. Awesome, awesome. Okay, I
Oh,
can accept
sweet.
that. But yeah, I mean, King of Games playing with Smog as well, and they placed did pretty well at Maryland Mayhem as well. So
That's right.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing Nebula at Ragnar Oktoberfest this year. But that's not the topic of today. The topic of today is Armageddon, obviously. um, but yeah, there's this kind of, I think we've gone over a lot of the basics, the history, and a lot of that aspect of it. Is there anything else you really want to kind of get across for this event itself?
I want to say that the event is capped at 300 FPS. It's a soft cap, so an average of 5 shots, and if it's 300 or lower, it's allowed. We're safety checking all blasters. Safety is very, very important. No all black clothing, all bright blasters, with a bright tip. But also, I'll say just because the FPS cap is higher doesn't necessarily mean your blaster needs to be firing that high for you to feel like you can compete and play and be decent in the game. The play area is actually about 65 to 70% smaller than the previous 2 schools that the event was played on. So because of that, with it being a little bit closer, your blast doesn't need to fire as hard. Also, I will say that one of our sponsors, a local business here called Drop Zone Arena, they host parties. For Nerf stuff, they'll bring Nerf blasters, and they have this inflatable cover. They have 19 different pieces, and so thanks to them, they even volunteered. They reached out to me. They're willing to bring their cover out for free to place around the game venue, and so you won't be standing in the open and shot from afar. I mean, it might happen, but there's plenty of cover. There should be a decent amount of cover for you to get behind.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
don't feel like you need to again shoot that hard to be okay there.
Great. So what I'm hearing is you can bring a variety of blasters and still have a good time at the event. It's not solely going to
Yeah.
be, you're hitting 300 or you're getting wrecked.
Yeah, it's not going to be like that at all. I can see high capacity rival blasters like the Perseus, fill out a niche on the battlefield. I know we have a shield mechanic in play, and a melee mechanic in play, and those users, if the shield gets hit or they get hit by a mega dart, or the melee people get hit by the mega dart, then they're out. So you kind of need to switch your ammo up a bit, or a soft throwable. So imagine hiding behind a shield and just like having a Perseus maybe with like the Added Arts hopper, and you're walking behind them a little bit or crouching. They're going kind of slow up, maybe like the middle, and you're spraying down with all the rifle balls to hold people back. Like I can see that kind of strategy being very fruitful in this type of event.
I just think it'd be pretty funny to see a proton pack running around at, the old school style game. So you've got like a plus bow next to a proton pack. That would be kind of a fun, blend of old and new together. I think that'd be kind of cool to see.
Ooh, that would be really cool to see, honestly. Yeah, I hope so. Maybe even Vortex, Nerf Vortex makes an appearance.
I miss when Vortex was, I don't want to say viable because that's a stretch unless you were playing indoors, close quarters, but
yeah,
just around, because it was so much fun to just use and kind of watch discs float at people and have people kind of like, which way is it gonna go? What do I? Okay,
yeah.
it was a fun ammo type, even if you could never get the best performance out of it.
I totally agree. I will let you know for sure if I see the Nerf Vortex on the field.
Awesome. On this topic of blasters, kind of just wondering if there's one blaster you could see at the event, what would you like to see from any point in time?
Ooh, any point in time.
Yeah.
As I'll give you two answers. I guess I'll give you an old school and a new school answer. Right. The cliche one is that a Nerf, like some sort of like decently to good modded like old school Nerf crossbow. Because that thing was like the pinnacle of performance back in the day. And I don't think maybe I might have seen it during my past few Armageddons, but it'd be nice to see it again. At new school would be the Sweetheart Storm.
Yes.
AEGs are going to be potentially the future of the hobby if you can get the cost down a bit. But to add to that, the business Frontline Foam from Utah is coming out with 3-4 people total, and I know they have at least one Sweetheart Storm, so I'll be excited to see that on the battlefield during the event.
That'd be cool if they bring it for sure. I know it's been going under some pretty quick iteration or rapid iteration from a variety of different places. Like different resellers are doing different things to them and selling them. So you've got like Black Raisins doing their version, and then I think there's an Australian vendor that's doing a version as well. So I'm seeing rapid upgrades for them to fix kind of some of the reliability issues. Like we had one guy here who bought one and hasn't brought it to a game yet because I think it's the MOSFET or something, the board inside fried. Not the MOSFET, the board fried. So he couldn't use it, obviously, but they sent him a new one and he's in the process of fixing it. But yeah, we're in very much the early stages of the AEBs and what's possible with them. But maybe by next year or the year after, we'll see some versions pop up that are more affordable and more reliable. And that's something I'm looking forward to as well, for sure.
Me too.
I like to have as many of the fun new toys as possible. It is one of the problems of this hobby.
It's an arms race sometimes.
Absolutely is. It always happens. And it's interesting that it's one of the ways that can actually incidentally get more people invested at times in a group. Like we've had people in the past come and they've brought their blasters and they've had their fun, but then they've seen what other people have and like, oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of want that. And then they pick up that, and then the new hotness comes out and it's like, oh well, yeah, I mean, we got to have that too. And so it's a double-edged sword for sure, because you can have people that are like a little turned off by the constant upgrades and improvements and tweaks, and if you aren't satisfied with what you have, then yes, it can be like I said, double-edged sword. There is a downside to it, but it can in some cases increase player investment, which is always interesting to see how a group goes in that direction or not.
That's very true. I just want to add a quick story to that.
Go for it.
This past weekend, Sunday, I was at the San Diego Nerf Club's competitive tournament. I was just watching because I kind of strained my groin a couple of weeks ago. I never had a groin injury, so I'm babying it coming back in.
Smart.
But I was talking. I know there's this Asian teen there, and he has the Worker Harrier. I saw him at the Lazy Uncle's Nerf Club event, and I got one myself about a month ago. But I wanted to talk to him and invite him to so he can let his Harrier blaster power like stretch a bit. And I was talking to his parents just to kind of like build the brownie points. Me as the organizer make a good name and for the event. And the mom mentioned that too. She was like, yeah, he just got this. It was like a spam SBL from Gavin Fuzzy from I forgot what seller, but he just got that, and I don't know if he want another blaster in the near future. And I was trying to like tell the mom like he has the Worker Harrier, you can just upgrade that. It should be okay for a little bit.
Yeah,
okay, thankfully.
You can push that hard.
I just so to add to your story, I just experienced that from a parent of a player.
Yeah. And if you can get the parents on your side for events as well, that's huge too. Because we have some of the parents of, I can't say kids anymore because the kids that when we started in this area are now adults that are in or out of college, but their parents still come and help and hang out. And so like getting families involved in things really pays off. It really does a lot for a group in terms of the support structure of it. So for anyone out there that's building a group and kind of looking for things to help with just herding people, organizing, getting stuff, if you can get parents on board for helping and they feel like it's a worthwhile investment for their kid to have this STEM hobby, you can really get a lot of help from that's invaluable. So yeah, a little bit of a tangent there on the organizing side, but potentially relevant for anyone out there that is trying to start something up.
There's actually a question in chat about someone asked, I think, once or twice about trying to organize games. I don't know if you want to touch on that or.
Yeah, if there's nothing else pressing for Armageddon you want to touch on, we've got about 15 minutes left. We can certainly just start taking questions from chat.
Let me double check whether you have anything else you want to ask. Do you want to? I don't know how your setup is. If you want to go through some of that video I sent you, because I haven't uploaded on my channel yet. I've been lagging, but it'd just be a nice opportunity to kind of maybe play through the area. Maybe just play at like 1.5 times speed or something. Can save us some time if you want to do that. Or
I would have to get that set up.
Okay.
We could maybe do that. Let's answer this question, and if not, we can. I will link directly to it to your page. That way, we can send some people over to your videos as well, which they should be watching if they haven't been already. Now that you're back and doing things.
Okay, yeah, we can do that too. It's not like the most pressing issue.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's popping up properly if we do it, and it's not a like, oh, why are we not seeing anything? And
okay.
Yeah, so let's see. I think. Got J. Kyle Hamilton asking about trying to get.
I can answer his question in the meantime while you figure things out. Hey, J. Kyle, thank you so much for coming to the stream, man. Much appreciated. To answer your question, also thank you for being wanting to host games. It's people like you who keep the hobby going, honestly. But it says that you found a great location. Not sure if you need to do a meetup or let it grow, or maybe simply do RSVP. I would say that. Oh, you highlighted it. Thank you, Jangular. But I would say, just talk to your friends and your people that you know personally who are interested or maybe interested in the hobby, and see if they want to come to it. And I would say that if you want to, you can put it online like through Facebook, Discord channels or Facebook groups in your area. Mention the event. Have some solid rules. Eye protection as a must is definitely should be like number one up there. And I would say, have them play, and just kind of get it going, So I recommend Facebook, Facebook groups, Discord pages in your local area, if there's any, to get people coming to the event. If you don't have any of those things, maybe like you're in a big state like, I don't know, middle of California, even though California has Nerf groups, there's the video, they'll come to it, but California it's more north and south. If there's not groups around you, again, I'd recommend you start some. Talk to your friends, I'd say, right off the bat, and see if they'll want to play. And once you kind of get it going, once you kind of like light that small spark, your group will can get bigger and bigger over time. Um, so yeah, again, talk to your friends. Hopefully, Jay Kyle's still here, but talk to again your friends, and if anything, you can also post on Facebook too and see if people are interested. Even if there's no groups, you can try to get people. But where there is a will, there is a way, I will say. And
That is
thankfully, thanks to internet, we have so many options. So yeah.
absolutely true. There's lots of ways to do it, and um, as simple as getting a couple friends and bringing all the blasters and everything, and just trying to get them interested. And if you're out in a at a public park, I'm assuming you're an adult. Let's make this assumption first. If you're a minor, things change a lot. You should have parents involved. You should have different things. But if you're an adult and you're doing things, you can just go out to a park, have some fun, bring some friends. Sometimes people will see what you're doing and express interest. We've had plenty of people at our games kind of show up, be like, oh, what is this? What are people think like it's airsoft or something, and then they're like, no, it's Nerf, and like, oh, no way, I played these when I was a kid and they're never like this, and that kind of stuff that really let people like, oh, where can I find this? And so it's by doing things, you'll find organic ways to increase the size of the group and get players and gain interest. So that is something as well. It's just simple you can do, but it does take effort. You have to be willing to put it effort in over an extended period of time. And that is one of the most difficult parts. King Games did bring up something good.
Oh yes.
So did you tell about prizes, how they can get extra raffle entries, anything along those lines?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you, man. Yeah, part of my incentive to have people come to events that we're going to have free raffle giveaways. So when you enter, you will get a free raffle ticket. And there are ways to get more. I'll touch on that really soon. But our local group, it's called the Nerf Trading Post. He's part of the Lazy Uncle's Nerf Club. Is that he's giving away about 10 free blasters. He said he has like so many blasters, and he probably needs to get rid of some, but he's willing to offer them to raffle off for free. We also have Saber blasters out from Singapore through our Chris Cartea, Singapore connection there. Their head person there sent over a couple of their metal Harrier plungers to raffle away for free. So we're very, very thankful for Saber blasters for providing that. I'll also say that a small local YouTuber, his name is Gims Mods. He's going to be raffling away some Nerf Blaster Juniors and one of the new Zuru X Shot long shots as well. He just hit 1.5 thousand subscribers on his YouTube channel. He's doing a free giveaway for the XYL Unicorn, so you can check him out. Gims Mods, GIMS, and then Mods. But yeah, you also have an opportunity to enter for more raffle tickets for free. You can make a video on the event. If you make a TikTok on the event, if you share like the Instagram post of the event, these are all ways to get more raffle tickets, so more opportunities to win. But if you want to, learn more of the details, intricacies on how to get more raffle giveaways, you can join the Discord or the Facebook event in the description.
Awesome. I think it's great to have, things to give away, raffles, just that little extra, as a thank you to the people that are making the trek out. And it always adds a fun element to the event itself. Just builds a little bit of extra hype day of, and kind of who's going to get what, and those kind of fun little things.
Yeah. Also to clarify, we're going to put during raffle time, we're going to put the prizes in a pile. And so if you win, you can pick from like any of the choices. So if you don't have a worker hair, you can skip on that and get something from
that definitely helps. That is good to know. Yeah, I know Saber, they've got their M20 constructs. It'll be interesting to see if anybody brings one of those. I assume if they're coming, they I would assume bring some. But
I'll touch on that really quick. There's a guy online that goes by Dorian, and he's from Oregon, and they play in they play their blasters up to like no cap technically, but often 400 FPS or higher. And they play in like the wilderness of Oregon, and some of the pictures he showed are like really beautiful. So he's actually coming with like five people in total. yeah, from Oregon down to play for this event. They're going to tune down their M20 blasters for it, of course, for the 300 FPS. But yeah, it's amazing what they do there. I haven't really seen gameplay, but again, I'm pretty much open to all areas of Nerf as long as you're doing it safe and you have
Yeah.
you're playing with the proper permissions. Then yeah, I don't mind if like it's all black blaster or it's more milsim or LARP or it's competitive, or you're on the couch messing around with friends. That's why I love Nerf too. There's so many different like avenues and areas for
Yeah.
different people.
There's a lot of variety, and I like to echo the, as long as you're doing it properly and taking the proper precautions when necessary and all those details. There's a ton of different ways that you can enjoy this hobby, and that is one of the best parts of this hobby. Absolutely agree. So we've got a little over 5 minutes left. I think if anybody else in chat has any questions, now would be the time we can hop on those. Likewise, if there's anything you want to talk about, whether it's Armageddon related or anything else related, you are certainly welcome to.
I just want to say shout out to Lego Boy 0109. He says, I was part of the organizer team for Towns versus Zombies this last April. He said finding news can sometimes be rough, but yeah, thank you, man, for again helping organize and host that event. Again, that things like that keep the hobby going. These really big events, I know people enjoy them so much. So thank you so much for that, Lego Boy.
Absolutely. Anyone who puts time and effort into organizing is someone that is invaluable in the hobby. It really can't be overstated how much work can go into organizing events, and thank you to anyone who does that so that we can enjoy them. And I also saw Lego Boy post that they were at Maryland Mayhem competing, so I'm gonna have to go watch their videos just in case I didn't already, because competitive footage, I love it. So that's something I'm gonna have to go find it.
Oh, I guess kind of wanted to ask you really quick on competitive stuff. Like, are you more of a fan of like the King of the Hill, where it's like kind of 3 points spread out on a bigger field? Are you more of a fan of like I want to say like arena style, but it's closer, and like, I think flag push is what the game is called. Are you more a fan? I don't know if there's any more game modes than that, but which one do you like more?
There's
and why?
a variety of game modes, and we'll keep this short because we have, like I said, about 5 minutes. This could be an entire 1 or 2 hour long stream on its own.
What have I done?
Someone said competitive. Here I am. I have to step back from the question, kind of give a little bit of perspective, because I have been developing the King of the Hill rule set for the last 8 years.
Oh, wow.
In 2013, when I got into the hobby that summer, I said, I bet we could do competitive. Like, we had enough people here, and I wanted to capture the flag because I felt that could be the most interesting. Also, we played a lot of capture the flag, so that paired into it as well. But I couldn't figure out some of the rules issues I encountered with making a fun and balanced and enjoyably watchable competitive game mode for capture the flag. But I have that solved now, and that will be something I'll be doing in the future. But so then moved to King of the Hill, and well, it's not perfect. There's still some things I really am trying to figure out how to improve. I do enjoy King of the Hill more currently than flag push style games. I've also developed my own rule set for flag push that I stopped pushing because there's a variety of similar, and we don't need more kind of noise, so to speak, from me trying to add more to it. But there's pros and cons to both, to be clear. I'm not saying one is bad. I also have to acknowledge that there's probably some level of bias because I've invested so much of myself into King of the Hill. But there's just different things that you can enjoy in King of the Hill versus flag push style. There is something about flag push style games where you can have like a 1v4, 1v5 clutch, round winning thing because there's no respawns. And there's respawns in King of the Hill, so it's a different type of game, and you can't really compare them one to one. So I'm going to compete in any and all game types that I can. Like, I just love it. So it's I enjoy them all, but because probably of my investment into King of the Hill, there's probably a part of me that enjoys that a bit more, at least currently.
That would make sense. As just a not competitive player, but someone who just kind of observes. I do enjoy the more respawns aspect and being able to play more in King of the Hill.
When you said you were at the tournament, I was like, did you play? Did you? And you quickly shut that down. I was like, all right. So my question back to you is, are we going to get you playing on a team at RAG this year?
And someone already asked me honestly from the San Diego
Yes.
club.
Yes.
Kevin, there's a guy there named Kevin. He asked me. He has a YouTube channel too. It's called Kevin's Nerf Videos, and I like watching them. But I told him like, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't. Like I said, I'm open to the idea of all Nerf stuff, even if it's sometimes not my cup of tea. But I haven't. I'll try to compete, maybe like in the San Diego clubs like gym, and kind of see how I do, because I'm a little bit rusty honestly from coming back into the hobby. And when I played too, I used like mostly like flywheelers, the Nerf Raven, the Elite Strife, the Elite Rapid Strike. Before I stepped out, now I'm using like a Worker Harrier, and now like now I gotta like at the gym,
Yeah.
it's working my arms. So
So I
yeah, I'm
will
still getting back
say,
into it, so we'll see.
I'm gonna put this out there for you. Kevin, I'm pretty sure is the captain of Blaster Club. Um,
Yeah.
so he needs two more people for his team currently. And put this out there for you that King of the Hill is a game mode that benefits greatly from having a full 7 people on your roster. And you can provide so much value being a substitute, making calls from spawn. So
Ah,
even if you aren't playing in every single match, you can still be a valuable asset to a team without being on the field the entire time. So don't feel like, I need to be at tippy top shape and back good on everything. You can still be a part of a team without, you know, feel like you're gonna bring anyone down or anything like that, or worrying about that, or anything like that. I say give it a try.
yeah. It's you can't knock it till you try it as well,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. I do like the idea of trying things out in SoCal. There's plenty of comp events that are being run down there, thanks to the group. I think they're going to try King of the Hill sometime soon, I hope. But I don't want to drag on more about that because, like I said, I can very easily turn that into an hour plus long discussion, because there are a couple of questions that I think we will end on. And that first one is from Kelly. And that is, what's your
Mhm.
favorite game type to host for Armageddon?
Ooh, the idea so far in our schedule, we have 3-team RP Testy, which is seize the balls. I think San Diego Club calls it stockpile. You have to get as many of these plastic playpin balls into your team's bucket. At the end, by the time it runs out, whoever has the most balls wins. You can also steal balls from the opponent's bucket, so it kind of gives it some structure and more objective than just shooting each other. And 3 teams doing that sounds like just the right amount of chaotic.
It's definitely a
That's probably gonna be my
hectic.
favorite.
It's a hectic game mode already, so you add in a third team. I'm sure it'll be fun. And then we'll finish off with King of Games asking, what is your ideal Awfuls blaster?
You can go first since I answered this question. Or no, I didn't
Oh,
answer this one, but I answered the last one first, so you can.
oh, my ideal awful easy. It's my favorite blaster of all time, and that's the Secret Shot, the OG green Secret
Oh,
Shot,
yeah, I forgot about
all
that.
day, every day.
And I was gonna say like a maybe like a Nerf Maverick, or like a Nerf Night Finder. And sometimes the Night Finder, I don't know if you remember, but if the dart doesn't get a good seal, just plops out, doesn't even fire, just falls. So that'd be fun to see during games. Hopefully I can find my Night Finder and do that.
Definitely some good classics there for sure. All right, I think that brings us to a good, solid close. I think I want to take one more moment to thank you so much for hopping on to talk about Armageddon. It is coming up quickly. If you are going to be in the area, definitely make your way over. I am sad I won't be there, but I'm looking forward to seeing as much footage and hearing as many stories about the event as possible. And I hope that next year if you host us again, we'll have you on again to talk about what you're doing in 2024.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I just want to close to by saying, yeah, I encourage everyone to come out, even if you're new to the hobby and you're in the area. It's a good place to kind of see what Nerf blasters and Nerf Baronet can do and how welcoming they are. And yeah, tickets are only $10. And yeah, I'll also say that Jangular, we miss you in the hobby. I know, you've been going through some health issues, man. But again, we appreciate really all the work and all the crafting you do for the competitive Nerf stuff. And I'd encourage anyone who's here, like, if you're not too familiar with this stuff, like, you can go back and watch it. And I feel like a lot of it's still relevant. He's like breaking down like, oh, scenarios. If there's like two people here and one around the flag, like what should you do? And if you're not competitive, you can still apply that stuff to like your Nerf game. So I feel like your content is still really relevant. So I was telling him earlier, I feel like you're the Nerf YouTuber's like favorite YouTuber or one of them because he's able to do the competitive side, but the gameplay and go in depth with stuff. So thank you for everything that you do, man. Thank you so much for having me on. Very much appreciated.
Man, too kind. I sincerely thank you so much for that. It's like I've said before, you were one of the early people that I was able to look to for videos and what the hobby was like. So like I said, it goes full circle all around. Everybody motivates everyone else. So thank you so much for that, and everyone else that makes anything in this hobby. With that said, if you haven't been watching Basic Nerf stuff, go check it out. His channel is a classic in the hobby, always will be. And on that note,
sorry, one last thing.
Yeah, got it. You got it.
So, by tomorrow, like noon, I'm gonna have a preview video up of the Armageddon venue. I'm like walking through the school. Since I just talked with the principal like this past Sunday, I was there. So if you want like a preview of the venue, like check out my channel by tomorrow at some point. All right,
awesome.
That's it.
That's the perfect thing to have people go watch. So thank you so much everyone for watching. I hope if you go to Armageddon you have a good time. If you aren't able to, you enjoy the footage that people post afterwards. And with that, we'll leave you. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to y'all next time.
All right, thanks guys. Thank you, Jangular.